Giddy up. Week 2 of PodToga. I'm Mark DiLorenzo from GiddyUpBets with Chantal Sutherland. How are we doing today?
Very good. How are you?
It doesn't stop raining, but other than that,
it's been raining this morning was like so much rain at the track. This weekend, it seems like it just rains on the weekends all the time.
We need turf racing.
But I did like it coming off the turf, and I did like the rain on Sunday.
Let's get right into that.
Okay.
Sunday. One of us won a stakes race on top of a horse, and it wasn't me. Congratulations.
Thanks.
He is a frenemy of mine, Mr. Super Chow himself. This horse you rode first time out back in July of 2nd, first race at Gulfstream. So, congratulations on winning the stake at Monmouth on Sunday.
Thank you.
Winning any type of stakes race is a huge success. So you need to make sure that you take a lap and just, pat yourself on the back, because I know you're working crazy hard. You don't want to say it to everybody, but you are putting in the work. But congratulations, Super Chow. Sunday.
Thank you.
Give me the breakdown. What were we thinking going in? You had ridden him, so break it down for me. What do we got?
Well, it was not. They had kept some of the races on the grass. I did ride the grass on an earlier race for Kelly Breen. Unfortunately, the horse, he just stumbled out of the gate and fell on his head. Thank God, lucky that I stayed on and he didn't run off or anything. And, we've lived to fight another day. But then it kept raining and they took it off the grass, and that was good for me. And
so the race was, so that you were intending on putting Super Chow on the turf.
Yeah, I think the owners have wanted to try it, and the racing manager,
which I think is a good idea.
So they had breezed him on the grass. I did watch it. He did it down in Palmetto when I was in Dubai. Looked okay. I don't see any grass or breeding for him, for the grass. But so I was kind of happy it came off, because I don't want to be the first one to try that out. So we knew that I had speed, which was Claudio Gonzalez with his horse. And there was a good chance they were either going to go or not go. My goal was to get out of the gate fast to make up for that whole Dubai debacle. And then that was good. He broke super sharp. The gate guy in the gate was fantastic with me. So thanks to him. And also the outside really wanted it. And if he wanted it, he had to gun it to get past me.
So the 10 in here is River Dog, who's a New York bred, who I know has serious gate speed.
He does.
I know Super Chow has serious gate speed as well. And I remember texting you in the morning, and I kind of talking to you and just being like, and you knew this, and you knew that he had super gate speed. So your ride here should be making the power rankings this week, because you broke quick, right? As we're seeing on the screen here, you can see this. You're on top, and then you knew this horse was going to come. And so go through your mind process. What do you think?
He came so quick, and it was just, he had quite a lot of speed. So then I said, I'm just going to sit and float. I'm not going to take back. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to let him pass me. And as soon as he passed me, I just had to get over his legs. And then I felt that outside horse on my flank, but I knew I had a lot of horse. And as soon as I signaled to Super Chow, he freaking accelerated like good old times. My Super Chow's back. And he just went around that turn. It was a better spot to be out in the middle of the track. He obviously likes to be there anyways. But we had a nice tire track. The track was tight there. And, I wanted that fast edge on that track, and I just let him do his thing. I think I did scream at him, like, you keep going.
he was digging in here, like, when you were right in here and you're coming back, and this is so difficult, because this horse is crossing over.
Yeah, I just gotta wait for it to clear his legs,
Exactly. So it's so difficult. So you want to clear and you want to cut back. And then this right here is when you made the race where you could come back and you're strong enough that you're keeping him in position. And that's what I always look at from a handicapper standpoint. I'm like, she's keeping her position. And then this horse was push button ready to go today, because once you pushed the button here, he was going.
Yeah. Popcorn. Sorry, that's popcorn.
Is that popcorn? Is that popcorn, the little dog?
Yeah. Popcorn, come here.
So awesome ride, awesome job.
Yeah, thank you.
I thought that the Pollock report shot here was pretty solid.
Yeah, that was fun. I was like, thank you, Jesus.
that was a little thank you, Jesus kind of moment. So
thank you for the rain.
Thank you for the rain. Yeah. So were there any thoughts? Like, the horses come out okay? Any thoughts on kind of what he might do?
So I saw him this morning, and I always give him mints, and I always say Super Chow. and he came right out of his stall. He was like, there's a webbing there for him, so he can't get out, but he's banging it. He was full of energy. I gave him like 10 mints. He was like eating my hand, and he was trying to bite. So very fresh. It's like he never ran.
So, and it's been a while because of everything that you've been through since you've been on this horse. So this was the first time since when? Since March of 2023?
Yeah.
Right?
He had that.
Well, excuse me. You were on the horse. You were on the horse in Milan, in Dubai.
We never got a chance to do anything. But what I love about Super Chow now, and I really believe this in him, is he was so fast early when he was younger. But I think when you're younger, the horses hadn't grown up around him. Now he's going against older horses, and some other horses have more speed than him, but he can sit off and he can pass. And that's awesome for a speed horse like him. And I think he's just mature now, and he does have that wicked turn of foot. So if we have to wait sometimes, I think it makes us more dangerous.
Yeah, him being able to rate now puts a new dimension in. Did they say anything about maybe what they're thinking next, or they might try to the turf again? Maybe, take a shot at something somewhere, just kind of play it by ear?
I think George has already a couple of races planned, but I would like to see, instead of just going to the next race, I would love for them to focus maybe on the Breeders' Cup and how to get there the best way without, not doing too much, but just enough.
Yep. I think having the horse peaking at the right time.
Right.
Yeah. Again, congratulations. This happened on Sunday, and then I sent you a text, and then you sent it back, and then the next text I got from you was kind of out of nowhere. And I was like, what is this? And you sent me this link to an article from, I guess this is the Daily Mail from the UK. And it's titled Horse Racing. And then when you see the word Secret Society, Bombshell, Interview, Exposed, the sports pay structure, lack of mental health support, fears, you thought this was super important. So this is, again, I'll put the link in our bios, but this was from the Daily Mail. And this came out, on Tuesday the 17th? Or no, I'm sorry. This probably came out, maybe a day or two ago?
Yes.
Break it down for me. This is something that you really want to talk about, discuss. You have a relationship with the gentleman who is being interviewed pretty much during this article. So, what's your thought process when you see, a big time type of bombshell type article like this? What are your thoughts?
Okay. Yeah. So to start, Kia, and his last name I could probably crucify. It's Joorabchian. He is one of the top buyers right now in the world. Him,
Ammo Racing,
and also Micropoli. So they are buying and spending a lot of money. He is an owner that has horses with George Delgado, and I ride for him. And I've spent some time with him. I know him and his wife and his kids. His one son, Max, is really into horse racing. And today at the golf sales in London, they bought a horse, Ghost Rider, and he said that his son picked it. It was for $2 million. And Max is 13 years old, and he's incredibly knowledgeable about horse racing and breeding. Like, he makes any bloodstock agent nervous.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. So anyway, this article is really interesting because sheds a really nice light on maybe a dark side of racing and just how he's going to have a solution to the betting. See, when you ride and race in the UK, you have the bookmakers, and they take a lot out of the betting. You bet with them, and it's even at the tracks they have all these like bookmakers on the track, and the track isn't really getting a lot of that money.
So unlike in the United States, where there's the tote system, and then there is a takeout, and then when the money goes to the racetrack, then gets the trickle down effect to everything else in horse racing. In the United Kingdom, it's strictly bookmakers,
right?
And what this article is, there's a bunch of very valid points in here, but one of the main points that he's making is about he's looking to start, and he's new blood in the industry, right? Like he got this itch 2017, 2018. He's more of a soccer agent specialist. That's what he's kind of known for in doing. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And he's really trying to do something I feel a little Mike Rapoli in him, where he's newer blood. Some of the old school blue blood type of people have not treated this sport, like I call it sometimes, like an older car. If you have a 68 Chevy Corvette and you've treated it well, it's going to run great. Horse racing has not been treated great in the United Kingdom or America in a lot of different instances.
They call it yards, and they have a lot of horses and a lot of employees, just like we have grooms here. And our grooms make a certain, paycheck a week, and they do too. But these bookmakers are making like 95 million off of certain yards. And so what Kia wants to do is like, you're making all this money, you're taking out, but you're not giving back. And so even in a yard, you have a trainer, but they they only make so much money, and then it just trickles down. Like, to the groom makes the least amount of money, but he has the most important job, is to really clean the stall, be in there with the horse. And when a trainer can't make his, he's not making enough money, then the horse, they get skinny on the feed, and they get skinny on the bedding, and then it's going right back to the horse. And that's the most important thing that we're all trying to achieve, is be good and humane to the horse, not just the horse, but to the humans that are taking care of them. So he said, if I make a charity and the bookmakers have to give a percentage into that charity, and if you don't give to the charity that's going to give back to the yards that you're making the money off of, then he's going to expose them and just let everybody know that charity, or bookmaker, didn't contribute to the welfare and the of horse racing and that yard that they're making all that money off of. And I thought it was really cool. I think he's not just complaining about something, he's coming with a solution, and it's a good one.
So that's my thing, is that there are a lot of people out there that have a lot of ideas. Horse racing needs to do this, horse racing needs to do that, I think we're all, I can only speak for myself. I know you well enough. You know this gentleman well enough from your relationship with him and his family. There's also maybe a possibility that he might jump on this podcast maybe in the next week or two. I know you kind of made some contacts. That's a maybe, but
a maybe. I did talk to Amy, his very close friend and assistant, and she's great. She kind of organizes everything for Kia, and he's a busy man for sure.
Yes.
So they can't do it this week, but maybe next week. Kia's really awesome, nice guy. It's just, he's got a really tight schedule.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say here is that similar to Mike Rapoli here in the United States, some things that he says maybe rub people a little bit the wrong way, but that's what's supposed to happen. Yeah. We're here in a sport where we need more transparency. We need newer ideas. We need things to be happening at a quicker pace. Like, I give the car analogy all of the time. Like, the car breaks down, a 68 Corvette. Do you want a 68 Corvette? Well, let me take a look at the condition of it. And things like this, newer ideas, are things that need to be done. And I like the idea of what he's doing, because from my perspective, from a horse player here in the United States, I don't think too much about how the bookmaker and the trickle down effect of the money side of it out there. But he really is, he's spot on, where the horses, the people that work, and he's talking about here in the article, like how a lot of these guys that muck out the stalls are just getting overlooked, underappreciated, underpaid, and it's leading them to drinking alcohol, drugs, things of this nature. He wants to help. And this needs to be brought to the attention. So, like, we're doing this podcast. We had a whole bunch of people listen to the week one. So when you sent this to me, I was like, we need to talk about this. This is something that's important, and it's something that, you feel passionate about, and something that we are going to try to promote for him when he comes up with, all of the finer points of the charity, as I like to do with a lot of the newer things that are going on here in the United States, right? Is there anything else that I'm kind of missing? Because he really dives into a lot of things here that I'm going to, again, post the link in our bios and we'll get into. But the main thing that I got across here was, and he said this on the Nick Luck show a few weeks ago, how him and Emma Racing spent about 25 million guineas on horses a couple of weeks ago, and they spent another 2 million on a horse when we were just talking about Ghost Rider just the other day. And the culture of horse racing and the journalism is just not there. I've gotten into some verbal and like little tiffs here and there with some of the guys on horse racing, because more needs to be said, more needs to be done.
This article was pretty transparent in the article. And then also what I liked is he does have a lot of horses in the United States, and he is more new to the US, but he went to Saratoga, Belmont at Saratoga last week. And he was talking about just the electricity and how much he loved it. And I was really proud of the US.
Yeah.
I'm proud of Saratoga, and it is, we do have a lot. The purses are big in Saratoga, and we do have a lot of great horses running for big purses. And that's what you want. You need money to be going in so we can have big purses so everybody can get paid and everybody can, it trickles down, and the whole sport, everyone does well.
Yeah, I thought this quote right here really like hit me square between the eyes. It was he was at Saratoga at the Belmont Stakes last Saturday, and he was like, it was incredible, the crowds, the competition, the electric atmosphere. And he was at this year's. Last year was out of control. Probably one of the most electric days at the racetrack I had ever been. He was at it this year, and he was just blown away by there's excitement there. And you said you're riding for him for one of his horses on Friday at Monmouth, right?
And her name is Pretty Thing.
So he's going global, and this is something that we needed to talk about, and we want to talk about. And this is also going to segue into our Royal Ascot part of the pod. We have someone that's on. He's in the queue right now.
Cool.
He's an Englishman himself. I call him part of my GiddyUpBets international team because there are some people out there that I listen to that I don't have any more respect for. He does his work. And as we like to say, that's kind of what it comes down to is, putting the work in is something that Calum does. And I'm going to bring him in and let's see how this works here. We're going to add to stage. Did I do this right? Calum?
You did. I'm there.
Hi,
hello.
Calum.
How are we doing?
Good.
Excellent. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a good day at the track. So yeah, ready for another 4 days of it.
Calum, Chantal, Calum. I don't know if you guys have met before.
To meet you.
No, I haven't. Nice to meet you.
Lovely to
Calum's
meet you.
hair always looks that good too.
So, been working on it.
It's really spot on. It's the morning life favorite for best hair at the track. Anytime I go with him, we spent about a couple weeks together at Saratoga last year, but he was at Royal Ascot today.
Yeah.
But let's just touch base on this because I just wanted to see if you had any thoughts. The article that came out in the Daily Mail, you being my boots on the ground guy in the United Kingdom, in England, there's truth to this. There's the what's going on in the United Kingdom is kind of feeling a little bit of House of Cards ownership, not treating things properly. Like, do you have any thoughts, or is this kind of hearsay, or what do you think?
I mean, Kia Joorabchian is a very outspoken guy. He does rub a lot of people up the wrong way. He says a lot of controversial things. He comes from a football / I'm not gonna say soccer, but it's football background. He's a football agent. And it's quite a cutthroat world. So you see a lot of people come into racing from different sports and they see it from their sports point of view. Racing is a very unique sport in this country. I would say it's very elitist. It's always been the sport of kings here. The people involved are largely rich and wealthy people. And yeah, he sees it from a different point of view, that there are, working life people that are really struggling in this industry. I think he makes a really good point about the lack of mental health support for, yard workers. I've seen it myself. I live about 35 minutes from Newmarket. And yeah, it's very easy for people there to get into a lot of trouble because all you got to do is, there's a lot of betting, there's a lot of drinking, and there's a lot of drug taking, and there's a lot of problems there. And yeah, I mean, that just kind of comes parcel of it, and there is very little support for these people. I kind of saw you touch upon, when he was talking about being at the Belmont. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a different sport here to what it is in the US a lot of the time. I've been lucky enough to go around racing all around the world, and there is things about UK racing that fry my head. I think it is quite a poorly run sport in many regards.
Give me an example. Give me the biggest example.
I just don't think it likes change.
Yeah.
People are very stuck in their ways. The betting is very archaic. We only bet largely fixed odds betting. There's no pool betting here. It means that there's very little money going back into horse racing, and it's staying with bookmakers. That's just how people bet here. Turnover here is going down significantly since COVID, and it's kind of fast tracked that. People are really struggling we have a lot of betting restrictions here with accounts, which America is very new to because it's just not something that's happened there.
You're right.
But here we're quite a long way along the path, and yeah, it's for a lot of wealthy or people that make money out of racing, it's very hard to get bets on, and people are very fed up of it, and they're moving on to other sports or other jurisdictions, in particular Hong Kong or the US, because they're just fed up of not being able to get money on. The positive of it is the sport itself. I mean, there's still, a hugely, thriving racing at the top level, and particularly the flat. I mean, you look at that today, you have huge support from the likes of Kia, the likes of Godolphin, Juddmonte. They're putting millions and millions of pounds into the sport. But when those people go, who's going to be the next person? We're not sure. So yeah, it's like still a very elitist sport in terms of, it kind of tries to appeal to an audience in that makes it like a fun day out, but they don't try to appeal it as a day out where you can go drinking with your friends rather than getting into the sport itself. It's just more, there's horse racing here. You can have a great fun with your friends, getting drunk, whatever. But there's no, emphasis on the racing itself, and that's a massive problem for me.
Yeah.
I think because it's so tricky with the bookmakers, and even when you want to get a racing form and PPs, you have to give up your name, all your information, and it has to be with one bookmaker, and that's how his PPs are. And it's tricky. Like, you just can't go buy the racing form and have all the information. And they don't have like the regular, even in Dubai, they don't bet, but you look at the program, I'm like, what is this? And there's nothing. You don't even have to work. You guys don't even have to tell about breezes, and like ours is amazing if you really want to dissect it. And it's easy. You can bet on your phone. You can bet at the track. You can bet anywhere. And I think that's what gets people interested in it. And even, I know you're not supposed to bet, I think, till you're 18, or you're not allowed to bet.
Yeah, 18, yeah.
Younger kids, we want younger kids getting into it, not so much betting, but that when you are allowed to bet and it's made easy, it's more interesting and more fun. And people love to say they won.
Yeah, it should be a massive part of it, isn't it? I mean, people should go and enjoy it and have a bet. And there isn't quite that. There is that culture here, but it's just hard to do it. I mean, you can't. I always, when I come to America, you got like kind of the pick 6, pick 3 bets and things like that. They're really fun. I mean, and they're ways of winning huge amounts for small layout. I do a lot of Hong Kong betting, and the system over there is incredible. The pools are enormous, and in comparison, the UK is very small, and it's getting even smaller because, like I said, the big players are moving out, and it's a very different landscape, the UK racing, to what it was even just before COVID. I'd say it's really kind of escalated into a bit of a downward spiral, which is sad to see.
Yeah, because this Newmarket is beautiful. I went there, and you don't want your racetrack to turn into like a Bumble or a Hinge hangout. Like people are just going there to.
Same thing's kind of been happening. Very similar in the United States, where I think attracting people to the sport is one thing, but attracting them and letting them make a bet and teaching them what to do and showing them how to actually do this is something that was in a past generation. It was just second nature, which is something that's it's going to take a little bit of time, and it needs to meet some improvements. But speaking of wagering, let's just kick it right over. Today was day 1 of Royal Ascot. I know you were there.
Yeah.
Top hat.
Yeah, top hat was here right now. I also thought it was a prop.
Oh yeah, there we go. All right.
Keep on for the rest.
That's so cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to give also a tip of the cap to Calum, who was on the US Open winner, put a few pounds on JJ Spawn at 300 to 1.
320. Yeah.
320 to 1. Told me about it sometime during the week. And then Sunday morning, JJ Spawn hits one off of the flagpole, and then he goes bogey, 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 bogey. And I go, this guy's some luck's got to change here. So I put a wager on. Calum had his wager on, and we kind of became like rooting partners. And then he hit 2 of the best drives ever, and I ended up winning about $700-800. And Calum won a few thousand,
3,000 pounds. So
3,000 pounds. So congrats to you there. And
thanks.
I'm going to lay 1 to 9 that you're going to be reinvesting. You reinvested some of that money into Royal Ascot today. True or false?
I gave a little bit back. But it was one of those days where I genuinely could have been really good, and a few noses and heads going the wrong way.
You gave me
A slight
shout,
loss, but it wasn't a disaster. We had some good bets today, and that's the main thing. We had some good bets.
And that's what's important. And I think that's important. What I say to people all the time, that someone like you and myself, who were doing this so often, if you're a once a weeker or a once a year person, or, you know, you go to Royal Ascot, you know, the one time it's a special occasion, there's certain ways that you might want to bet. But when you're doing this as much as Calum and myself are, you know, taking a look at it, and even if you have a losing day and looking at it and say, did we make the proper wagers here? Do we like the right horses? Even if it didn't break our way, is very, very important. But let's do like a couple minutes recap today.
Sure.
Am I wrong to say the Queen Anne is the highlight of day one, right? Was the first race today?
Yeah, I mean, it usually is probably the biggest race. I wouldn't say it was the highlight of the results or the card today, but yeah, it's generally the main kind of feature of
what was you would say the highlight of today? Day one of Royal Ascot.
Undoubtedly was the St James's Palace and Field of Gold, who is you have the 2 mile races on the first day. Is the Queen Anne, which is for the older colts and fillies and mares, and then the St James's Palace, which is for the 3-year-olds coming from the guineas. Today we had basically the UK, Irish, and French 2,000 guineas winners face each other, and Field of Gold came out emphatically on top. This horse is very good. He's the best horse in Europe at the moment, I think. Wildly impressive state, very much worth a look, his performance. He was beaten by ruling court in the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket when they went very, very slow. He sat last. He still nearly won. He produced one of the fastest closing splits in 25 years in guineas history, and still got beat, sadly, and got beat by ruling court. He beat him 7 lengths today in a much faster run race with a different jockey on board. The jockey from 2 back, Kieran Schumacher, got a lot of stick for that ride, and Colin Keane's come in and absolutely dominated on him in the Irish 2,000 guineas, and then was wildly impressive today, beating Henri Matisse.
And to put into a little bit of context for, you know, the United States listeners, beat Henri Matisse, who won the British Cup Juvenile Turf, who got a really nice ride from Ryan Moore in November of last year. And I watched the race today, and he Field of Gold just overpowered the field.
Yeah,
it was very, very impressive.
He's really good. He's really good. I don't know if he would come to America. I think, I mean, Juddmonte, I think, would be happy to take him to America, and I think he would skip round American tracks, something like the Breeders. But there's probably other targets, elsewhere. He goes on any ground. This horse could be even better over 10 furlongs as well. There's enough in his pedigree to think he will be.
Well, that's good to know, because as the year gets longer, they're going to start going longer distances, right?
Yeah. So the obvious next race would be the Eclipse in a few weeks' time, which is at Sandown, and then potentially the Juddmonte International, which is obviously a race that is sponsored by Juddmonte. So that would be the main aim for them, and then maybe Champions Day, or if he didn't stay a mile, Irish champion over 10, but then maybe the Breeders' Cup Mile or QE2. But yeah, he's going to have a long season, and he's going to be very, very hard to beat wherever he goes. And then
I want to give a tip of the cap to you. You gave me a shout on the 13, I'm going to say this name right, Nürburgring?
Nürburgring. I can't even say it myself.
Nürburgring. Cheerio, Nürburgring. Went off 20s, 16 to 1 in the World Cup. 20. I saw 25, maybe 16s, and you gave me the shout, and you said this horse has a chance, and lost by half a head.
A neck or something like that. I came back at the end and just I think it was a neck, a very painful and expensive neck, but it wasn't it.
I have been there, but I wanted to give you a shout out on that. And Calum knows what he's doing. You can find him on Twitter at Calum Madell. He's one of the best. But if he has a little bit more time from us, can we do a couple of shouts that we liked for tomorrow?
Anytime.
Are you going back tomorrow with Top Cap?
I am. I'm going tomorrow and Thursday for Gold Cup Day, and then I have to do some proper work. So
okay. So how about tomorrow? What's the highlight race? Is it the Group 1 tomorrow? The Prince of Wales?
Wales' Stakes is the feature. That's over 10 furlongs for 4-year-olds upwards.
And as I like to say, just because you don't want to bet the most money on the race that you like the most, but you want to bet the most money on the horse you like the most. Would that come into the play? The horse that you kind of fancy the most, as you like to say, tomorrow, does it land in this race, or is there a small opinion in this race, but maybe an opinion you have in a different race that would be kind of somewhere that you invest more dollars?
It's a very open race. So Los Angeles is the favorite. He has won both his starts this season, including the Tattersalls Gold Cup in Ireland, where he beat Anmart, who was also reopposing in this race. Anmart was making his first run of the season. Los Angeles obviously had the benefit of that run, and Anmart actually headed him at one point, coming from the rear. Los Angeles was on the pace, and Los Angeles just got the better of him. So Anmart is entitled to potentially overturn that form, but Los Angeles is definitely improving. He's very tough, and he's got Ryan Moore, and it's Aidan O'Brien, so he definitely deserves to be favourite. There is a slight niggle probably that Anmart isn't quite as good on fast ground than he is on soft ground. He won the Champion Stakes last year at Ascot on very soft ground, and he has form on faster ground, but in lesser company. He's a horse that is 7 and does not have that much racing, and he probably has a few issues. So I'd be slightly worried about him on really quick ground. I mean, the weather here is glorious this week.
Yeah, I've heard there's been, unlike in Saratoga, United States East Coast, we've been getting all the British weather, and it has been damp and wet. Not off the turf season here, off the turf season here in Chantal Monmouth World. But all right, let me do this. I'll put you on the spot. Is there someone where you might, if you're getting the right price, or maybe you've backed already because of the bookmaking market, but is there a horse that you really fancy tomorrow in one of the group races, or even one of the non-group races that you want to mention?
Yeah, I can mention a few. I mean, in that race itself, I quite like the 9, See the Fire.
Okay.
She is, she's a little bit of a notch below this from her form last year. But last time she won at York by 12 lengths in a Group 2 against her own sex.
Wow.
But it was a wild performance on the clock. And it might just suggest this filly is basically rapidly improving. The connections have a horse called Kalpana, who was 3rd behind the 2 Market Principals in Ireland in the Tattersalls Gold Cup. So I think they've got a good marker of if they think this filly's good enough. They've supplemented her for this. She's got an outstanding pedigree. She's by See the Stars, one of the top sires out of Arabian Queen, who was a multiple Group 1 winner. I think she's the one that could be the rapid improver that I would chance. I think at the moment she's about 5-1 in the UK. In a very open race, she'd be the one I'd potentially just fire a little bit at, but it wouldn't be a really bullish view because it's this horse I haven't even mentioned that definitely have good chances as well.
And who that would be?
I mean, Ombudsman is another improver. He lost his unbeaten run last time on his return, but it was coming off a reasonable layoff against a good horse who got a soft lead. And Map of Stars as well, the 6, is he? Yeah, he's a French horse coming over with solid Group 1 form. They did well in this last year, the French horses. So yeah, I mean, this is a really open race. It's one to look forward to for sure, but See the Fire would be the one I would chance at the prices.
Okay. Give me something else. Is there, you want to talk about one?
Give me more.
I'm not going to bet just one tomorrow. I'm not going to wake up at 11 a.m.
So I was watching the Royal Ascot. Nick Luck was interviewing like Charlie and a couple other top trainers, and Charlie said, I don't know what the name of the horse, but they said it's Aidan O'Brien, and a mole said from the yard that horse was doing really well and would be really tough to beat. I don't know if you know which horse they're talking about.
Which race? Is this tomorrow or?
I don't know which day. I was just listening to it, and the one owner's like loves betting, and he says the mole in the yard at Aidan O'Brien said this horse won't get beat. Like he's really.
I mean, most Aidan O'Brien horses.
Well, Aidan O'Brien has a few of those.
We can go through any races really. I mean,
race 1, Queen Mary. Anything stick out? That's the 2.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's an American horse in here for a start, which I thought I may well mention for your audience. Patrick Biancone's got Lenilou, the 11. Twice a winner in the US. This is a race that American horses have done well in the past. And I was quite impressed by her. I have no idea how it's going to weigh up. There's a lot of horses in here that once raced, once winning maidens. It's very hard to tell who's going to come out on top, but I could definitely see it. She's got fast ground, which definitely helps the Americans.
Yep.
I don't mind a horse in that called Stayer, number 22.
Jeez,
Scroll down.
What a list.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, this is so difficult. She's just a once raced winner with a good sprint pedigree, but she did well on the clock that day. So I would chance her at around 12-1, I think she is. But there's so many mid chances. I mean, the favorite is the Aidan O'Brien horse, whose name escapes me. True Love, number 23. She was
Zelena is
23. Zelena's second favorite is 23. She's actually a maiden, True Love. Yeah. But the filly she got beat by first time out Lady Imam, who's Miss Royal Ascot, but she was the favorite for this. And then she bumped into a colt called Gustard, who won the Coventry today in very impressive fashion. So that form is really stacked up. She was about 8-1 before that race. She's now 5-2 favorite.
Yeah.
But obviously that makes complete sense.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. You see those key races and they come back, and a 2-year-old maiden winning the stakes race is not unconventional in America or in England. There's another one you want to touch upon, or you can go back to doing the work or whatever you want.
Race 2, if you like, in the Queen's Vase.
The Queen's Vase,
is very different. Queen's Vase. I mean, this is a completely different race. It's 14 furlongs for 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
I like the 2 Asmarani. Really interesting profile on this horse. He's come from France. He has had 3 starts. He has a stout as pedigree as you will ever see. He's going up from 11 furlongs to 14 furlongs in this. He's unproven on quick ground, but this trainer had a horse last year in Calandagan who was a very impressive winner at the meeting, having unraced on fast ground. The pedigree suggests he will love fast ground, I think, and he'll love the trip. And his form got boosted at the weekend by the second, winning a Group 3 again. So, I really like him. I think in a race which lacks a star, I think the favourite at the moment is Shackleton, who's, again, Aidan O'Brien, just looks a bit slow. I mean, they're all not fast. They're all stayers, but he's got a bit of class about him. So I like Asmarani in race 2. I think he'd probably be my strongest fancy of the day.
Okay.
I can touch on another horse actually that you guys might know well in race 3. I quite like, and she's a price. This is the Duchess of Cambridge, Duke of Cambridge. Sorry, Group 2 for fillies. It's an open race. There's some outsiders here I quite like actually, but I'm particularly keen at the prices on Crimson Advocate, the 2, which again used to be with George Weaver. She won the Queen Mary a few years ago. She's been
ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Sprint.
And she's been pretty impressive so far. She was unlucky not to win on her return against a filly called Soprano, who you probably might know from the US, come over to the US as well. And then she won last time by a nose at Goodwood, but I thought she overcame plenty. She'll love the ground. She gets James McDonald on board, and she's improving. So I think she's outside of the field at the moment, and for all it's quite a good race. I think she's worth supporting at a big price, maybe to hit the board.
I like it.
They have Kia Animal Racing has 2, I think. Grand Motion Cathedral, and then BB Dali for George Delgado. Yeah,
there's plenty. Wesley Ward hasn't come over this year, which is
he was supposed
to. Worth. They both bought it together, and I guess I think the last work wasn't great, but I don't know. I think they're just being on the cautious side.
But there's another US runner, I think, in the last race as well. Let me think. Tough Critic, George Weaver horse with Flavian Pratt on board.
He's come over. Is Pratt going?
He's number 21.
Tough Critic.
Tough Critic, yeah. One in a different, very different style to how you often see 2-year-olds that come to Ascot from the US.
Coming from behind. He broke a step slow and he came around.
I was impressed by the performance though, and this is usually the weaker of the 2-year-old races throughout the week. Saying that, it's a reasonable field and obviously a massive field. But yeah, it's quite funny earlier. I heard somebody talking about it earlier, and they were talking about Flavien Prat, and they hadn't heard of him. And I'm like, who is this guy? And they're like, he's good. And I'm just going, yeah, he's quite good.
You could be his bookie.
Yeah. I'll give you one in that as well that I quite like. It's number 22, Utmost Respect, who was an unlucky loser, very unlucky.
Richard Fahey.
Yeah,
I feel like Richard I was on one of his horses during the British Cup, but so
yeah, he was an also unlucky loser at York, first time out. Basically found all trouble possible, and the yard have had a slow start to the season, but are starting to come into their own. This horse was a breeze up and a very impressive one as well, and I think he's quite useful. So I think I did bet him early on, and he's contracted slightly in price, but anything around 10-1 I think is fair.
Excellent. I really appreciate you coming on. You went to the track, you top capped, you helped me almost print a little bit of money today. You're my guy.
We go again tomorrow.
A good friend. We go again tomorrow. We go till Saturday, right?
Yeah.
I know this is something that you circle this on the calendar every year. I know you do more work than anybody I really know. So good luck to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Tip of the cap. Make sure you polish the shoes and
there you go. Nice.
And make sure you give a nice giddy up when you hit a big winner.
I will. Giddy up. Thanks, guys.
Giddy up. Thanks, Calum.
Take care.
He's the best.
Yeah, so nice. I love his accent. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. Just a great guy. I met him through a friend, and he's come to Saratoga the last couple of years, and we've hung out and we've played golf together, and he just really, really knows what he's doing and what he's talking about. And so we're at about 45 minutes into this PodToga episode 2. I feel like we're doing a decent job, right?
Yeah, I think that was fun. That was good.
Yeah. I saw you last week, and we've got some things in the works, and this is going to grow. As you know, we had a ton of people listen week 1, so thank you out there to anybody that did. Again, I got some emails, a ton of emails saying, great job. I got a couple of questions. I kind of responded over email. For now, as we're kind of, just growing this thing out, please reach out to me anytime at mark@GiddyUpBets.com. You can sign up at GiddyUpBets.com anytime you want. I had a few people do that, and I answered any questions. If you have any questions for Chantal, please email me. I'll kind of relay those to her. And from there, we're going to kind of giddy up and get out of here.
Yep.
And play Royal Ascot in the morning. You're going to do some works. Good luck to you this weekend.
Thank you. I need it. And hopefully we'll have another guest next week.
Well, we will see what happens. This is great. I feel that this isn't going just to be mundane. We're going to get to the point. We're going to talk about things that actually matter. And I thought that the article that you had sent me that we touched upon Kia, and you having a relationship with him and everything that's going on, not just in the United States, but globally. And there needs to be improvement. It needs to be talked about. And we are definitely not the biggest platform out there, but we have a voice, and we're going to do this. And these are the things we need to talk about. So again, congratulations on Super Chow.
Thank you.
Awesome how we touched upon something that's super important in the charity for Kia. Calum, thank you for coming on. We're going to get this out to you guys, and have a great week. Giddy up. Enjoy the rest of your week.
See you later.
Giddy up.
Giddy up.